This is All India Radio. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay, and with me is Ishani Gupta with the Midday News. The headlines. Talks between central government and farmers are underway in New Delhi. Country's COVID recovery rate reaches 94.11%. Britain becomes first country in the world to approve coronavirus vaccine. Cyclonic storm Burevi reaches Gulf of Mannar near Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu. All arrangements in place to minimize the effect. And Nongpok Sekmai police station in Manipur's Thobal district chosen as the best performing police station in the country. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news. Fourth round of talks between the government and farmers' representatives over the 3 farm bills has been held in New Delhi today. Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar, Union Minister Piyush Goyal are representing the centre at the meeting. Speaking to media before attending the meet, Mr. Tomar said the centre is constantly discussing the issues with the farmers and hope for a positive outcome after today's meeting.
मुझे आशा है कि चर्चा के सकारात्मक परिणाम निकलेंगे। आज चौथे चरण की चर्चा है और मुझे लगता है इसका सकारात्मक पक्ष ठीक निकलेगा।
The fourth round of talks today has been attended by 40 representatives of 32 farmer unions. The third round of talks between the centre and the farmers remained inconclusive on Tuesday. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has emphasized that the government is fully committed to the welfare of farmers and development of agriculture is always the top priority for Modi government. He reiterated that the new farm reform acts which have been brought in are in the interest of farmers. Mr. Tomar said they have been brought after a long wait. He urged farmers not to resort to protest as it affects common citizens.
कुछ विषयों पर चर्चा हुई है, लेकिन जब तक क्लॉज वाइज क्लॉज एक्ट पर चर्चा ना हो और वो एक्ट कैसे किसानों के विरुद्ध है, उसका कौन सा क्लॉज विरुद्ध है, वो तभी तो दिशा आगे बढ़ेगी। सभी किसान बंधुओं से आग्रह करना चाहता हूं कि ये रिफॉर्म किसानों के हित में है और लंबे समय के इंतजार के बाद ये रिफॉर्म आए हैं। इनमें किसानों का हित है, लेकिन किसानों को कहीं भी आपत्ति है तो सरकार उनको सुनने के लिए, उस पर विमर्श करने के लिए, उसका निराकरण करने के लिए पूरी तरह तैयार है। इसलिए आंदोलन का रास्ता किसी को अख्तियार नहीं करना चाहिए।
Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh today appealed to the agitating farmers and the centre for early resolution of the issue pertaining to the farm laws. Speaking to reporters after meeting Home Minister Amit Shah in New Delhi, Mr. Singh said that he reiterated his position in the meeting today and requested the Home Minister to resolve the issue at the earliest as it affects the economy of Punjab and also the security of the nation.
I only came to see the Home Minister to reiterate our position and to also make a request to him and to our farmers, which I make through you, that we must resolve this issue soon because this affects the economy of my state and also the security of the nation.
Mostly farmers from Punjab are protesting outside Delhi and NCR.
The Narendra Modi government has taken several measures to transform agricultural sector in the country and raise farmers' income. The government has recently implemented new farm acts in this direction, which include Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020 and the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020. More from our correspondent.
The key objective of Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act of 2020 is to eliminate middlemen who pocketed most of the farmers' productive incomes. It also aims at ending the monopoly of buyers' cartels that fleeced farmers' income in the mandis. Through the path-breaking historic reforms, the farmers in the country have been for the first time given the freedom to sell their produce wherever they could demand a better price. The 3 crucial farmer-oriented and progressive legislation allows farmers to trade their produce online. Above all, the new legislations do not change the existing system of MSP and mandis in any way, leaving the prerogative of choice solely on the farmers. Setting up of APMCs are controlled by the state governments. and the new central legislations only give the farmers free and viable options to market and sell their produce. And all this comes with an added advantage of sufficient safeguard mechanism which can be accessed by the farmers right at the subdivisional level, ensuring dispute resolution to be both accessible and cost-effective. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
The government of Chhattisgarh has communicated its acceptance of Option 1 to meet the revenue shortfall arising out of GST implementation. The number of states which have favoured Option 1 has gone up to 27. All states except Jharkhand and all the 3 union territories with Legislative Assembly have decided in favour of Option 1. The state and union territories which choose Option 1 are getting the amount of shortfall arising out of GST implementation through a special borrowing window put in place by the central government. The window has been operationalized since 23rd of October this year. The centre has already borrowed an amount of 30,000 crore rupees on behalf of the states in 5 installments. The amount has been passed on to the states and union territories who chose first option.
The GDP growth numbers went down given the disruption due to the pandemic. However, GDP estimates of second quarter of the financial year 2020 were quite encouraging in comparison to the first quarter. GDP for the second quarter contracted to -7.5%, much smaller when compared to the contraction of -23.9% reported for first quarter of financial year 2020. More from a correspondent.
Between these 2 quarters, already a huge improvement can be seen in private consumption expenditure. Agriculture reported a growth of 3.4% in second quarter, the same as in first quarter. Manufacturing has grown by 0.6% in second quarter as compared to a contraction of -39.3% in first quarter. A comparison with other economies globally shows that India's position is better. Anupam Mishra, AIR News.
The Reserve Bank of India has asked country's largest private bank, HDFC, to stop new digital business launches and avoid adding new credit card customers after repeated reports by its customers facing multiple cases of technical glitches. HDFC Bank said in a regulatory filing that RBI has issued an order dated December 2, 2020 to HDFC Bank Limited with regard to certain incidents of outages in the internet banking, mobile banking, payment utilities of the bank over the past 2 years, including the recent outages in the bank's internet banking and payment system on November 21, 2020 due to a power failure in the primary data center. The AFC Bank said over the last 2 years it has taken several measures to fortify its IT systems and will continue to work swiftly to close out the balance and would continue to engage with the regulator in this regard.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has urged the countrymen to voluntarily contribute to the Armed Forces Flag Day Fund. Speaking at a function organized in New Delhi for the customary launch of the Armed Forces flag pinning, Mr. Singh said, "Our forces have always been fighting valiantly to safeguard the sovereignty of the country." Noting that over 47 crore rupees were raised during 2019-20 through voluntary contributions of people, the Defence Minister expressed hope that people of the country will manifest the same spirit of voluntary contributions this year too. Armed Forces Flag Day will be observed all over the country on 7 December like previous years. Since 1949, the day is observed to honour the martyrs as well as men and women in uniform who valiantly fight on borders to safeguard the country's honour. Nongpok Sekmai Police Station in Manipur's Thobal district has been chosen as best performing police station in the country. AWPS Suramangalam Police Station in Tamil Nadu Salem district and Kharsang in Arunachal Pradesh Changlang district have been adjudged as the second and third best performing police stations. While addressing the Director General of Police during the 2015 conference in Kutch, Gujarat, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had directed that parameters should be laid down for grading police stations and assessing their performance based on feedback. Our correspondent reports this year's survey for best police stations was conducted under challenging circumstances by the Home Ministry. Union government selects best performing police stations across the country every year to incentivize more effective functioning of police stations and bring healthy competition among them. Home Minister Amit Shah said that a vast majority of police stations shortlisted from the thousands of police stations in the country are police stations located in small towns and rural areas. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Talks between central government and farmers are underway in New Delhi. Country's COVID recovery rate reaches 94.11%. Britain becomes first country in the world to approve coronavirus vaccine. Cyclonic storm Burevi reaches Gulf of Mannar near Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu. All arrangements in place to minimize the effect. Nongpok Sekmai Police Station in Manipur's Thobal district chosen as best performing police station in the country. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
To get accurate, reliable and wide coverage of news, tune into AIR News 24/7 and FM Gold and listen to the major bulletins at 8:30 a.m., 2 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. in English and 8 a.m., 2:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. in Hindi of half an hour each.
India has leaped across a significant milestone in its fight against COVID. The number of new daily cases have been below the 50,000 mark for 26 consecutive days. In the last 24 hours, nearly 35,500 new confirmed cases were reported, while nearly 41,000 people recovered successfully during the same period. With cumulative recovery toll nearing almost 90 lakh, the national recovery rate has leaped ahead and reached at 94.11%. The recovered cases in the country stand at over 20 times the number of active cases. The active caseload of the country has witnessed further reduction and has reached below 4.5%. The total active cases in the country today stands at 4,22,943, which comprises merely 4.44% of the total reported cases. The Health Ministry has informed that nearly 75% of the new COVID cases are concentrated in 10 states and union territories of Delhi, Maharashtra, Kerala, West Bengal, Haryana and Rajasthan, among others. Nearly 11,12,000 COVID samples were tested in the country in the last 24 hours. With this, the cumulative testing figure has reached around 14,35,58,000. The central government and ICMR have scaled up the testing infrastructure in a calibrated manner. India's testing capacity has touched 15 lakh per day, ensuring easily accessible COVID-19 tests for all.
Head of the ENT Department, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Dr. Alok Thakkar says there is no reason for anybody to go off guard from precautions to fight coronavirus. Dr. Thakkar told AIR News that wearing a mask properly, maintaining 2 gaj ki duri and frequently washing of hands are a must to save oneself and others from COVID-19.
The coronavirus has been with us for about 6 to 8 months now. Many of us have realized that it is not as serious a problem in many occasions as we once thought. Many of us may have an infection and not be very ill or very symptomatic with it. But nevertheless, we still need to be very careful because at least 5 to 7% of us will get very ill, and it is also possible that 1%, 2% of us may get mortality. The reason we have to be careful is not only for ourselves, but for our colleagues and others in society. When we are wearing a mask, it is not only to protect us from others, but also to protect others from us, just in case we have an asymptomatic or minimally symptomatic infection. It is like driving on the road, wherein you always drive on the left, follow the rules so that you are safe to others and you are safe from others. So let us be responsible citizens. Let us do our job. Let us be careful that we do not spread our infection to others and that we do not take infection from others. Please wear your mask. It is essential.
Telangana reported 609 fresh COVID cases during the past 24 hours. With this, the total COVID cases reported in the state has gone up to 2,71,492. The state conducted over 53,000 tests yesterday. The recovery rate slightly improved to 96.14%, with 873 more people recovering yesterday. This took the number of recovered people so far in the state to 2,61,028. Meanwhile, the daily bulletin issued by the State Medical and Health Department this morning stated that totaled 1,465 deaths reported so far, following 3 more persons succumbed to COVID and comorbidities during the past 24 hours.
In Tripura, 58 persons recovered from coronavirus, while 38 fresh cases were reported in the past 24 hours. With this, the tally rose to 32,764. According to the State Health Bulletin, 31,856 people infected with the virus have been cured so far, while the recovery rate has further improved to 97.30%. As of today, the number of active cases has also dropped down to 513. According to the State Health Bulletin, over 5,30,000 samples have been tested till last evening. Out of the total samples tested, over 4,97,000 persons were found negative. Nagaland reported 45 fresh cases of COVID-19, while 164 COVID-19 patients recovered from the infection. According to the Health and Family Welfare Minister S. Phangniuphom, 22 new cases were detected from Dimapur, 22, 13 in Tuensang, 9 in Kohima, and 1 in Kifire. He also added that Dimapur has recorded 112 recoveries, 35 in Kohima, 12 in Paren, and 5 from Mon. With this, the total COVID-19 caseload in the state stands at 11,254, while the recovered cases has gone up to 10,358, improving the recovery rate to 92.04%. Presently, there are 720 active corona cases in the state. So far, 57 persons have died due to COVID-19. In Mizoram, 12 COVID-19 related patients recovered from the infection, while 12 more positive cases were also detected in the past 24 hours. With this, the total number of positive cases of coronavirus rose to 3,881. According to the State Medical Bulletin, the recovery rate is improved to 92.63%. So far, 3,584 infected people have been discharged from different COVID care centers after recovery of the infections. The number of active cases presently stands at 291.
In a historic move, Britain has become the first country in the world to approve the Pfizer-BioNTech coronavirus vaccine. They have said that the vaccine will be rolled out from next week onwards. Health Secretary Matt Hancock said the government has accepted the recommendation from the Independent Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, MHRA, to approve Pfizer-BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine for use. Hancock said the vaccine will be made available across the UK from next week. Priority for vaccination will be given to healthcare workers and care home residents. Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine has proven 95% effective against COVID-19 in the final phase trials. In United States, Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine could be approved for emergency use within 24 to 72 hours after the U.S. Health Regulators Advisory Committee meeting. This was stated by Moderna's Chief Executive Officer, Stephanie Bancel. The Food and Drug Administration is scheduled to hold the meeting on 17th of this month to discuss the company's request for emergency use authorization for its vaccine. Moderna, which is one of the front runners in the race to develop a coronavirus vaccine, has applied for emergency authorizations both in the US and the EU after full results from the late-stage study showed its vaccine was 94.1% effective with no serious safety concerns. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter, AIR News Alerts.
All India Radio presents Northeast Diary, glimpses of the news of the week from the northeastern states.
All about the region, a gateway to Southeast Asia, the developments and the destinations to look forward to.
News from the art, cultural and entertainment world of the northeastern states of India. All this and more.
Every Thursday, 5:30 to 6 p.m. in the evening on 100.1 All India Radio FM News Channel. Indian Navy Chief Admiral Karambir Singh has said that the Navy is prepared to handle the dual challenge of both COVID-19 and Chinese attempts to change the line of actual control LAC. Addressing a press conference today, Admiral Singh said the Navy's activities are in close coordination and synergy with the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. He informed that 3 Chinese warships are in the Indian Ocean region, which he said have been there since 2008 for anti-piracy patrols. Admiral Singh asserted that the Navy has an SOP in place to tackle situation in case of an infringement by the Chinese research vessels. Admiral Singh informed that adding a push to the goal of self-sustainability, 41 out of 43 warships and submarines, including the indigenous aircraft carrier, will be built indigenously in the country for the Indian Navy. Karnataka is celebrating the 526th birth anniversary of legendary Kannada saint, poet, composer, musician Kanakadasa, who lived in the 16th century during the Vijayanagara Empire. Kanakadasa's kirtans and upabhoga with social messages are very popular in the state. Born in a family of shepherds, he came to be known as Bhakta Kanakadasa for his devotion to God. He has composed prominent works like Narasimha Stotra, Ramadhyana Mantra and Mohana Tarangini. Today is the 36th anniversary of the Bhopal gas tragedy. Thousands of people lost their lives in the worst industrial accident on the intervening night of 2nd and 3rd December in Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh in 1984. An all-religion prayer meeting has been organized in the state today to pay tributes to the gas tragedy victims. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
Various religious preachers will be recited by religious leaders in the prayer meeting at Barkatullah Bhavan in Bhopal from 10:30 am. A 2-minute silent tribute will also be paid in memory of the deceased. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan will also attend the prayer meeting. In view of the corona pandemic, instructions have already been given to ensure compliance of the guidelines issued by central and state government in the tribute meeting. Bhopal gas tragedy is termed as the world's worst industrial disaster because over 15,000 people were killed after methyl isocyanate gas leaked on the intervening night of December 2 and 3 in 1984 from the pesticide plant of Union Carbide in Bhopal. More than 5 lakh people were affected due to the toxic leak. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Today is International Day of Persons with Disabilities. The theme this year is Building Back Better Towards a Disability-Inclusive, Accessible and Sustainable Post-COVID-19 World. In an exclusive interview to All India Radio, Mr. Satoshi Sasaki, Deputy Director, International Labour Organization, said the day marks the resolve of global community to respond to the challenges faced by the people with disability.
Currently, the people with disabilities facing the difficulties in the world of work as to how they can gain back their jobs. And for this, the ILO will work with the other UN agencies, the government, employers and workers organizations together to provide the opportunity for them to come back and work to support their family.
Parliamentarians today paid tribute to the first President of the country, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi and Leader of Opposition in Rajya Sabha, Ghulam Nabi Azad and others paid floral tributes at the portrait of Dr. Rajendra Prasad in the Central Hall of Parliament House on his birth anniversary today. A booklet containing the profile of Dr. Rajendra Prasad, brought out in Hindi and English by the Lok Sabha Secretariat, was presented to the dignitaries who attended the function. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar will deliver this year's Dr. Rajendra Prasad Memorial Lecture. The theme for this year's lecture is Good Governance. Dr. Rajendra Prasad Memorial Lecture is organized by All India Radio every year in commemoration of India's first President, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. The lecture seeks to thoroughly evaluate the nation's political, social and cultural environment. The achievements and the future prospects of the country are also critically analyzed in these lectures.
President Ramnath Kovind has expressed deep grief over the demise of Padma Bhushan Dharampal Gulati. Mr. Gulati was the president of the Mahashia D. Hatti, popularly known as MDH Private Limited, a renowned Indian company in the business of spices and condiments. President Kovind said that Mr. Gulati was a well-known personality of the Indian industry and his work done for social service has been commendable. Mr. Kovind extended condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Gulati. Dharampal Gulati passed away this morning due to cardiac arrest. He was 98 years old. US President Donald Trump is expected to sign a bill that could delist some Chinese companies on US exchanges unless they adhere to US auditing standards, the White House said yesterday.
The cyclonic storm Burevi has emerged in the Gulf of Mannar near Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu this morning, as it has completed its first landfall near Trincomalee in Sri Lanka late last night. According to weather bulletin issued by the Met Department, cyclone was moving northwestwards with a speed of 11 kilometers an hour for the past 6 hours. It would be centered very close to Pamban near Rameshwaram by noon. Later, it will cross the southern Tamil Nadu coast between Kanyakumari and Pamban between tonight and early in the morning tomorrow as a cyclonic storm. When observed last, the cyclone Burevi was laying centered at about 30 kilometers east-northeast of Mannar, 110 kilometers east-southeast of Pamban and 310 kilometers east-northeast of Kanyakumari. Heavy to very heavy rains is predicted at many places in the southern districts of Tamil Nadu today, with the possibility of extremely very heavy rain at isolated places. The Met Department has said the cyclone will gain the wind speed of 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, gusting to 90 kilometers per hour while having its landfall. Its impact over the southern coastal districts of Tamil Nadu is believed to have commenced this morning in Ramanathapuram, and it is set to gradually cover up to Kanyakumari district. As the sea would be very rough, all fishing operations in the region remain suspended. Under the impact of the cyclonic storm, several places in southern Tamil Nadu witnessed intermittent rain since last night. Some places, including Chennai, experienced light to moderate rain. More from our Chennai correspondent.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi called up Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy yesterday and inquired about the cyclone situation in the state. He assured all help from the centre to the state. Union Home Minister Amit Shah also called him up this morning and has assured all help to the state in tiding over any situation that may arise out of the cyclone. Meanwhile, 979 of the total 7,605 lakes in the 10 southern districts in Tamil Nadu have reached their full reservoir level. The lakes are being kept under watch by the authorities to manage the water flow so that the inundations of nearby villages are avoided. 9 NDRF teams are camping in the southern region and their state counterpart, the STRF, has also deployed its teams. The revenue, police, fire and rescue and health officials are alerted to respond to any need anywhere, anytime in the region. Various control rooms are being operational 24/7. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
Kerala is also on high alert as cyclone Burevi nears. All the arrangements are in place to minimize the effect of the cyclone. Our Thiruvananthapuram correspondent reports.
Cyclone is expected to hit the southern part of the state tomorrow. A red alert is issued in 4 districts today. Met Department predicts heavy rain and strong winds in southern districts from today evening. Necessary arrangements are being taken in the respective districts by authorities along with Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force and disaster response teams. Relief camps at 24/7 control rooms are opened. 8 teams of National Disaster Response Force had reached Kerala. People are advised to be alert and to contact the state control room 1077 in case of emergency. Fishing is completely banned in Kerala coast and those out in the sea is advised to reach the nearby coast at the earliest. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital will have mainly clear sky with temperature varying between 8 and 27 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky, temperature will vary between 20 and 34 degrees Celsius. Chennai is likely to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The temperature will hover between 23 and 28 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will witness mainly clear sky. The city will observe minimum temperature of 16 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 29 degrees. Srinagar will have fog or mist in the morning and mainly clear sky later. In Jammu, the minimum temperature was 11 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be 24 degrees. The city will have mainly clear sky. Leh will have mainly clear sky and becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Gilgit will experience mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening with temperatures hovering between -1 degree Celsius to 18 degrees. Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards evening or night. The temperature will hover from 5 to 21 degrees Celsius. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Talks between central government and farmers are underway in New Delhi. Country's COVID recovery rate reaches 94.11%. Britain becomes first country in the world to approve coronavirus vaccine. Cyclonic storm Burevi reaches Gulf of Mannar near Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu. All arrangements in place to minimize the effect. And Nongpok Sekmai police station in Manipur's Thobal district chosen as the best performing police station in the country. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the Midday News.